Well, hi folks, it's start of March now, so it's about time I started getting me aliums started off, my shallots, spring onions, and my leeks started off. So, as well as that, it's just for me to implore people, please try and grow shallots from seed. These are called Zebrun, and these are some that I've kept over winter from last year, and you can see why I grow them. You get one per seed, and they're huge. They're absolutely huge. That's when you grow them as one per sort of station. And then what I'm going to do this year, quite a few more of, is growing them in clumps like I do spring onions, because that's the size you get when you grow them in like clumps of 3 or 4. So they're that size, they're huge. They're great for chopping up and using. But these are also perfect size for eating whole, like putting in soup, in stews and casseroles and things. So you're getting about the same amount, same volume. But instead of getting one giant one, you get 4 small ones, and that's about the size you get them in supermarkets anyway. But like I said, if you want to grow a giant one, just put one every 6 inches. One every 6 and you get absolutely huge ones. So they're the Zebrun. I'm also going to try some of these Nigel muddy boots from YouTube. Sent me some of these. I think they're quite similar, they look the same sort of shape. And they're an onion called Long Red Florence. And actually, I think Zebrun shallots are actually an onion, because if you put one of these, if you plant one of these like you would a shallot, instead of them splitting into loads of shallots like your normal shallots that you plant, they just go to seed like an onion. So, although they call these shallots, I think they're actually an onion variety. And they are an onion variety, but like, if you can see, they're a very pink red one. So thanks to Nigel Muddy Boots for them. I'm going to give those a go as well. And at the same time, I'm going to sow some spring onions. I grow everything in these little modules, because I find that especially spring onions, if I sow them directly outside, they never seem to get going. But if I sow them in modules and then plant them out, only when they're a couple of inches tall, they get a really good head start, and it's warmed up outside by then, and then they really take off. So I'm growing the basic variety as normal, White Lisbon, and also I'm trying this variety this year called Ishikura, which apparently are a very tall but very slender, like pencil shaped ones, whereas White Lisbon, if you leave them to get big, they can actually form a big bulb, and then they end up being a bit silly really. Whereas these Ishikura, by all accounts, I think I've grown them years ago, are just really long and thin and don't bulb up. So I'm going to give those a go as well. And leeks, same as ever. I've got Musselburgh, and I've got some I tried for the first time last year, Giant Winter. They're a bit stockier. I grew both last year. I've just actually harvested the last of my leeks this last week actually, so because we've had such a mild winter, they haven't been destroyed by the frost. And the Giant Winter ones were quite stocky but very thick, and the Musselburgh ones as usual were quite tall and a bit thinner, but absolutely fantastic, all of them. So anyway, this is how I sow everything. Couldn't be easier. What I use these half seed trays with 20 modules in, so there's 42 a module for a whole seed tray. And I prefer to use these sort of half ones, because if you're only going to sow 20 of a batch, you only need to use one of these instead of half of another. And if you can see, they're quite deep. Even though they're quite narrow, they're quite deep, so you've got a good soil depth for the roots to go in. And instead of riddling soil over the holes, all I do is, because I'm planting maybe 3 seeds in each hole, I just use a pencil and I just dib a little hole in, maybe half a centimetre deep, in each module before. I've done all those already. And then there's no need to riddle any soil over the top of them, any compost, because just as easy as you've made the hole, with the same pencil you can just flick a little bit of compost back over again, and the job's a good one. And again, instead of using modules for my leeks, I like to use these big polystyrene boxes. I've cut it down a little bit. I can get any number of these free from my local greengrocer. I think it's what they get the broccoli delivered in, but they are good. It gives you about 6 inch depth, so plenty of root room, and these can grow, the leeks can grow happily away until they're about 9 inches tall with such a lot of compost in. And then, like I said, you can just snap them up when you've done to get them out, and I've got millions of these available. If you've got your supermarket or your greengrocer, they'll be quite happy to give you these sort of things away. So it's not very exciting, I must admit. I'll just put my label in because everything looks the same when they're all aliums, especially when they come up. So we'll just do the zebrum first. Like I said, not very exciting in the slightest. How many seeds do we get in a packet? 150 seeds, so there should be plenty in a pack, and these are only £1 a packet from Harrogate. So you can get 100 shallots that size for £1, which can't be bad. So I'm going to sow these in, try and get about 3 or 4 in. I'm going to do one row of 3 or 4 in a clump this year outside, and a row of just one plant, so I can get a row of small ones and a row of big ones. So I'm not being too cute. I'll put a pinch of seeds in. If there's 3 in, if there's 5 in, it doesn't matter. Got to wear my glasses now because I can't see anything up closer than about 2 feet. So it couldn't be easier, just randomly pick them out. The seeds are that cheap. And if about 6 or 7 come up, I'll just thin them out to 3 or 4. Same, I'll do exactly the same with the spring onions, because I'd like to grow those in clumps of about 4, 5 or 6. And then they all find their own space, and you get some cracking results, you know, for the amount of space they take up if you do grow them in clumps. And spring onions don't seem to be any smaller than if you sow them singly. So, similar. So that's it, got to the end of this one. I've already pre-moistened my compost, giving it a good watering beforehand, so I don't need to water it afterwards. And like I said, just using my pencil, just going to flick a bit of the compost back over, so I'm not making a mess. I'm in my kitchen here, so I don't want to be spreading compost all over everything. So just teasing a bit of compost back over the hole, filling the hole in, about 1/2 centimetre deep. And that's it. So that's as a bundle. I can just give them a little spray just to settle the compost over. So really, that's about it. I'm just going to do exactly the same for the spring onions. The leeks are going to go in the big box. And then really I'll just put them in a propagator on the windowsill, no heat, and just let them start to germinate. And as soon as they start coming up, I'll put them in the greenhouse if I've still got used to that, or I'll put them in polytunnel. And with the zebrum, my rule of thumb is I sow them on the 1st of March and plant out on the 1st of May, and they're ready to harvest on the 1st of August. So they only take 5 months to grow, and then you can store them for another 7 months. But like I said, most of this video is just to sort of say, people, really honestly, give these a go, because you will not be disappointed. That's 7 months since I harvested these. Not sprouting, they don't seem to rot. I've never had one go rotten in store, and they're fantastic. So anyway, that's about it, folks. Just getting a few of the first onions going. All done exactly the same way, really. Just planted in modules. So we're getting a bit of stuff planted this year. So that's about it, folks. Not very exciting as per usual, but I'm just showing you what I do. See you later.